Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Now, let me say some things before we get too deep into today's topic, which is, it is the Billionaire Lifestyle hosted by Emmett Muckles. So if you'd like to go to the website, the direct URL that you can choose, I have two of them. There is emmettmuckles.com, which will take you right to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast postings, or you can go to the Billionaire Lifestyle LLC.com or the Billionaire Lifestyle Inc. I've given you many directions, so if you type something in, and hopefully the Google gods will bless me and place me right where I need to be so that you can find me. Now that I've said that, welcome. Happy day. We're in the throes of the holiday season, and that brings me to our topic of today, where you're having nothing of value and you're worshiping less, which means you're throwing money after things that you don't really need. The reason I brought this up is because recently I came across my mentality of spending, which is, I acquire some money and I think to myself, what do I need? Now, hear what the objective word is. What do I need? Now, I have a house, I have food in my house, I have utilities are paid for, which means I have my internets. I don't have cable TV because that's a whole different podcast. So I built an antenna for that I have in my home. Therefore, don't have that bill. But what do I need? Most of the times, quite often, I have everything that I need. So there are times, days, weeks that go by where, you spend money on the necessary things, which is things that you need. You need gas for your car or transportation. If you're in a city like Chicago, you may not have a car, but you have to get your transportation. There's little luxuries that keep you going through the day, like coffee, you name it. There's just little $5 and $10 things here. But as far as how I used to be, particularly in my younger years, I would get my check and go, I need this, I need this, I need this, and my money would be gone. That changed. 2008 was the culmination, but it had been festering before then, and I had to take inventory of my situation. If you look at my About Us page or About Me page, it kind of details all of that information that you will find out how this transformation came about. Let me tell you some things that I have going forward in the pipeline. I have a ton of interviews that are coming up. So next week, I'm seriously going to be every day recording a new interview with someone interesting who is doing something interesting with their life. They're living the billionaire lifestyle, which means that life which they have crafted of value. It is their life is worth billions to them. And see how I said the operative word, it is to them. Now, let me digress a little bit. I said, where our original topic, which is about the Christmas season in particular, or it can flow into the Christmas season, which is the fact that we wait till this one 45-day period out of the year where we spend so much money on things that really don't have a whole lot of value. Think about when you were a kid. Remember that toy that you had to have? There was usually just one that you just so desperately needed, but then you'd have these other plethora of little things and side toys. And if you look 3 months beyond that point of Christmas, where is that toy? It was probably in the bottom of a box, in the bottom of your closet, or under your bed, or somewhere. Even as a teenager, when you think of Christmas and you're thinking of just getting stuff that really doesn't bring that much value to your life. It brings you an experience. Now, experiences are very valuable because they build upon your life. But for the most part, the experiences of stuff, things that are objects that you think will bring you great, great joy, really don't. There is one gift that I've gotten the last year, and I mean this. I have used this thing, and I'm not an endorser. I'm just telling the honest to God's truth. And it was a total surprise to me because I just kind of said, that would be nice to have. That would be nice to have. And I'm so cheap because it's not, I'm not saying cheap, I'm frugal. But it cost a pretty penny. And that is my Bose noise canceling Bluetooth plus cord headphones. I have used these items almost daily since my birthday. My birthday was a couple of months ago, back in the summer. But I found a use for them. They have such value in my life. I'm going to tell you where they bring in value. And you wouldn't think something as innocuous as a pair of headphones would have that much value. Particularly for me, Bose brings a lot of quality. A lot of people say, why didn't you get Beats by Dre? That seems like a marketing campaign. They may be very good headphones, but they don't have the longevity that I associate with the quality of the headphone. But that's neither here nor there. Here's where they are beautiful. Sometimes I enjoy the silence. Sometimes the world is just a little bit too noisy. And it is so cool because people respect when people have headphones on. It's like when they approach you, if you have headphones on, it's like you're talking on the phone. They kind of motion if they really need you. But if they don't really bother you. So when I'm in certain situations, maybe I'll be working in public or just working on something with a group of people around me, I'll pop my headphones on. I won't even plug them up. I'll just put them on noise canceling. And it becomes a beautiful silent landscape. I mean, you can hear some little things in the background, but they give me solitude. So I can concentrate on my space. And I don't mean the website, for those of you who are old enough to remember. But they give me my value. They give me an experience. They give me a tactile feel. They put me in a place. So if you are requiring something this year, you don't have to get something from everybody. You could just say, identify that thing that will have the most value for you. So you're not worshiping something that's worthless. You're not chasing something that's worthless, and you are not pulling from the universe, from other people, something that doesn't have an intrinsic lasting value. It's about simplification. Recently I've been on Pinterest and a lot of other websites, and I like this frugal movement. So I used to call it, people would say, you're just cheap. No, I'm just looking at the value that something actually brings in my life. And I said before, enjoy the silence. I've gotten to the point where I can enjoy the silence. I can just sit here and reflect. And I found out something too when I took away the television, which means cable TV. Flipping through the channels constantly, but you're never landing on anything. And then when you do land on something, it doesn't hold your attention long enough, and you start flipping again. So I had something like 700 channels on my cable television. 700 plus about another 300 music channels, and was hard to hard pressed at any given time find something that held my interest for more than 15 minutes. Held my interest for more than 5 minutes, actually. So when I realized the cost of that monthly thing, and then I associated with the cost that it brought against my time, because it's kind of a hypnotic thing. You just do it because there's nothing else that you think is better to do. So I would sit in front of the TV and flip through channels. Oh, hey, look, Brad Pitt movie. Watch, I've seen it. Flip through channels. It didn't bring any value. I didn't get anything done. There's other things I could be doing. I could be talking to someone. I could be conversing to another human being face to face. I could be cleaning my kitchen. I could be doing a whole host of other things instead of just sitting on the couch and flipping through channels. Or even better, I could just be sitting on the couch in what I call the Forrest Gump. You know, I remember when Forrest Gump was just sitting, the scene in Forrest Gump when he's sitting on the park bench by himself and he's just basically staring off into space. That is the most beautiful time that the universe and God speaks to you, when you're just sitting there silent, because those things you're having problems with, those things that you're trying to figure out, those things that you have questions to, that's the time to ask it, and that's the time to get a response. That's the time where your motivation starts to stir and you start to move forward. So let me wrap this up, kind of. The fact is, there's value in everything, but it is not equal. Try to get things in your life that represents the maximum value. It is not always something that is from this physical world. I think back to, let's go back in time. Let's go to our Back to the Future machine. And let's go back to 1920 even. There was no such thing as this retail monster that we all seem to partake in as a society. If people were giving gifts, they made them. It was something that was really intimate. A lot of thought was put into it, and it held value. And it probably provided something for someone so that it would be lasting. Nowadays, we go to Amazon and we click. So they basically taken the cable channels and put it on to connect directly to your wallet. I'm not saying you can't buy anything. If you're a shopinista, a shopaholic, and that's your thing, and it literally gives you joy, and you can afford to do it without it being a detriment in your life, knock yourself out, because it is about lifestyle. If that is your lifestyle and it's sustainable and it brings you great joy and it brings you great value, do that. But for most of us, if you really sit down and get to the brass tacks of the situation, you will find out you don't need very much. You don't need very much at all. I was supposed to, let me jump to another subject real here, because, I just wanted to connect with you guys. I wanted to, let you know that I'm here. I've been posting things online. I'm trying to do it more frequently. When it comes to putting my thoughts on paper, it's a slow process, and sometimes it doesn't quite come out like I want it to. That's why I do this auditory presentation for you, because I can free flow much better and my typos are a lot less. But when it comes down to putting things on paper, it takes me a little bit. But I've learned to do it through my phone, so that I can access you guys much more with thoughts and things that are happening. And I realized something. What I've done over the last couple of years is, as I would have a thought, I had this little notepad that was on my phone, and I would write down a sentence. I've not even touched them. I probably got about 200 in there, and they're all relevant. They're not time sensitive. They're things that we all deal with daily or within, quite the majority of our lives. I haven't even touched those yet. So I have a lot of content for you guys. I have a great deal of interviews. As a matter of fact, my inbox is just going crazy. Now, I want to give a plug to a website that I have been using. And I'm actually going to, as I'm typing it into my computer now, which is Radio Guest List. I put a little blurb on there. I did a test and I got a little response, and I wanted to see how this thing was going to work out. And then I put really a heartfelt request in with a bunch of typos, as I said, because that's my biggest problem. That's the thing that I'm starting to realize. I have to go back and read everything 4 times. And I put it out there in the universe, guys. I said, here's the things that I want. With RadioGuestList.com, it is a great place if you are a podcaster to obtain your guest in your particular niche, or who just kind of follow an ideology that you have, because they may be from different areas, but they may all fit into the same scheme. And mine is about lifestyle. So that covers a big area. That covers the physical, the mental, the sociological, economical. All these things come into play when it comes into lifestyle. So I have a plethora of people that I can pull from. And these are some wonderful people that will show you so much is out here for you to start to taste. It's like the buffet of life. There's so many things available to you to experience, grow, and prosper with that you've probably not even thought of. And that is part of what we want to do with the Billionaire Lifestyle. And RadioGuestList.com is helping me to do that, as well as some PR companies. So I'm looking for a specific type of guests who are A, doing their own thing, B, doing something unique that you might be like, what? Who'd have thunk? Or addresses an issue. So we're working on this diligently. Excuse me. It's that dry time of year, and I have to get my voice right. I might have to go get me some of that honey tea. But I really wanted to let you guys know, just to give you something to think about. You might want to scale it down. I did. If I give someone a present, it's not one of those things. I'm giving you something because I appreciate you. I can come up to you and tell you, hug you, shake your hand and say, I really appreciate you. Thank you for being in my life. I think that will go just as far as you going to Amazon or Best Buy and getting something that they will appreciate for a while, only to be discarded or lost or just sit somewhere indefinitely. So one thing I want you guys to know, I'm going to conclude this episode. I don't want it to be too long. I like it to be a little bit like 3/4 of what a normal episode is encapsulated in. I want you guys to know this is one of my passions here. I do all my own production. I write and produce my own music, all my own content, except for those that is brought in by someone else, which will be very obvious because we want to promote good things and good people. That's what I'm hoping that you as the public will do. You will find your passion. You will find your dream. You will live a fruitful life and feel blessed. Remember to do the exercise. When you're getting out the shower, when you're in your car, look in the mirror. Look directly into the eyes of that person that is looking back at you and realize how special that person is. Tell that person you love them. That person is you. Make sure that you love you first, because once you encompass the love for yourself, the love for others will be boundless. My name is Emmett Muckles with The Billionaire Lifestyle at emmettmuckles.com, The Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. I'm out. Deuces. Peace.